Hello and welcome to the Best Today podcast. I am your host, Shantae Grant, and today I'm talking to you about 5 things that I did to prepare our home and family for the upcoming school year. This episode is airing in August, the end of August 2024. For us and for many of you who have children who are school-aged, it means it's back to school time. And so one of my one focus over this summer was to spend 6 weeks to really go through my home. I'm sure I've talked about this already on different episodes. Last week, I talked about one of those projects, actually. If you haven't listened to 181, go back and listen to the paper implementation system that I've created, which is still working really well. But there are a number of things. One of the reasons to go through the house was just the fact that every room needed to reflect who we are now. When we moved into this house, as I've mentioned before, we are a family of 3. We are now a family of 4. We no longer have any babies. So there's no need for some of the things I found around the house, baby carriers, the chair with the ottoman in my son's room. We haven't used that to put him to sleep in years. And so just making every room now match the age and stage of life and the season of life we're in collectively and individually was really important this summer. And I wanted to share how most of those really were with the intent to help prepare them for school. This is the first time that since my son has been in school that my son and daughter are not at the same school. So that in itself is one transition. They don't have each other at the same school. That's now 2 pickups, 2 drop-offs. And they both are actually starting new schools because of that. So it's a lot of transition. And I wanted to set everyone up, not only them, but all 4 of us up for a really great school year with my husband doing drop-off, me doing pickup, and then them with being able to be ready every day to be out the door, and then what happens when we come back in. So I'm going to share 5 things that I focused on intentionally doing this summer. The first was to create a space that encouraged and invited stillness, a place they would want to read and study, do their work after school. And so that came from looking at our playroom. Our playroom prior to now, or this summer, when you walked in, there was a big yellow gray carpet rug that's been there, and there are multiple furniture pieces that held. I'm trying to remember. It's been about 2 months now since I've done it, so I'm trying to remember what it used to look like. But there was a calyx that held toys. There was another little open shelf that held toys. It was very clear that the focus of this room was playing. There was a chair that sat in the corner. I moved that chair up to our bedroom. I got rid of all of the different calyxes, all the things that were holding toys of any sort. I sold all of those on Facebook Marketplace. I bought a new rug, just really to symbolize this room has now transformed, right? I wanted to change. It changes the color in there that better reflects some of our favorite colors in the house. And we kept my daughter's desk. That's still in the room. I think that might be the only thing outside of the floor and the lamp, which I actually would like to replace, that stayed in that room. But I wanted it to be very clear, this room now has a different purpose. It's not for you to come in and play, because they had not used that room consistently as a playroom in a very long time. And so I wanted to create a space that would feel good to come in and read a book, or to sit down at the desk and do your homework or study or review, right? Because that room no longer matched who we were when we moved in. When we moved in, we had a 2-year-old. That 2-year-old is now 11 years old, right? We have a middle school and an elementary school student, and it needed to match their needs. And so what's great, because I can report that school has already started, that is a table my daughter her desk sits in now and does her work, her review. She writes in her planner. She opens her planner and uses it to ensure that she's writing down due dates for school. And so many times I'll come in and find them, or particularly my daughter, sitting there on the rug reading. It's open. It's not with a lot of clutter. We got rid of a ton of toys. There's one smaller calyx that I bought in a different color. I really wanted everything to feel like symbolizing this is a new room. And what used to be over 8 bins of toys is now really 2. And we moved some of our favorite games into a bigger system I purchased from IKEA, and I can link to some of these out. Well, when I write about this on for those on the journey, I'll link and have pictures of all the different systems that we've used, that I use in that room. I love this. I don't know, I guess you would call like a wall unit from IKEA, that it's so nice. It looks so nice. It's very heavy and substantial. And it was pretty pricey for IKEA, but it's really, really nice. And it has a little hook on the side. That's where their book bags go. And that's where we have all of their school supplies. So there's where all the extra pencils are, the pencil sharpener, the extra folders, extra paper, extra pencils, extra markers, extra crayons, extra index cards, 3-ring binders, dividers, everything. That's like their little store that if you run out of something, you can come back here and you can let me know if we're running low on anything. We have our games. The games that we play the most as a family are on there. So we still also use it as a place to play together as a family. But just setting that up has already, now they know to come home. They know where their book bag goes. They know this is the room I'm going to sit and do my work. I'm going to sit and study here. I've created that environment and that space that encourages sitting down, reading, studying, and it's just a whole different vibe. That's also the room we did the painting in, which again, all of this will be on For Those on the Journey. So if you're not subscribed to my Substack, For Those on the Journey, make sure you do that. We'll link it right here in the show notes, or you can go to forthoseonthejourney.com. All the pictures and things will be there. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I set up a section, which I mentioned already, for school supplies, library books, extra pencils, paper, a place that they can restock as needed. That is so helpful because now, Mommy, I'm out of pencil. Mommy, can I have that one? Has anyone seen my library books? No. None of that now because it all has one place and it's in that same room. And the library books used to live in their rooms. My daughter had a basket on her bookshelf and my son had a basket on his dresser for library books. But I've decided library books aren't even going to make it into our rooms unless you have one you're reading, in bed. Having them downstairs is great because now I can say, I'm going to run by the library while they're in school, drop these books off. And it's just helping to lose them. We have not lost any books since we've moved to this system. We lost books when they made it upstairs to their rooms. So that's the second thing I did. I made sure they have their own little store to shop, which they haven't needed as of yet. Actually, my daughter needed one more extra folder. And so they can go and get the school supplies that they need. Number 3 is that mailbox station that I talked about last week in episode 181. So go and listen to that episode. But now, because of creating that mailbox station where everyone can put their papers in, can you sign this? Can you sign that? Now we don't have any lost papers coming home from school or getting back to school. Things are able to go where they're supposed to be because I created that mailbox station. And that mailbox station, like the school supplies, all live in that one room. So really, the first 3 things all happened in that one space. And it's not a huge room, but I maximize it and it still feels spacious. And I'm actually thinking of getting the desk that we have in there for my daughter, getting one more and pushing it aside to make one massive desk, and then moving my son from his little smaller table, which is also an IKEA table, to the bigger table. And it also would let all 4 of us sit there if we all wanted to read and study at some time together. And I really love the idea of that. So that's what I'm thinking about. And of course, I'll keep you posted on that over at For Those on the Journey. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today.
Hi, my name is Mary, and I've been using Clean One Room since last July and can't say enough good things about it. My kitchen was never clean for about 7 years, and I tried all the things. I am a very type A person, super organized, normally great at keeping things together, but kitchen was just a hodgepodge of clutter and stuff, and it just never worked out. Once I used Clean One Room, once I went through all the steps and followed the process and really did the work, my kitchen has been clean since last July. I obviously have to wipe up and clean up messes and, keep it sanitary and all that, but it's clean. There's no mess. There's no clutter ever. Everything has a place to be. And now that it's clean all the time, everyone in my house knows where things go and they put them away too and are used to the system and handle it. I've Clean One Roomed my entire house. It works amazing in every room, but honestly, sold me completely in my kitchen. It's been a dramatic change and really has taken a lot of stress out of me. I get very stressed when my space is cluttered, and I have two kids, 7 and 4, who are messy little people. But to know that I have a system to go to know that it works, and that here I am. So from last July until now, this is the first week in March when I'm recording this, to know that it's going to stay clean and is always, always, always something I can fall back on in the program if for whatever reason it gets cluttered again. It's just a huge relief, and I love it so much. I recommend it to everyone I know. I even had a friend who bought it last week and organized a closet this weekend and was sending me pictures, raving about how wonderful it is. It just works. If you are at all interested, I encourage you to invest the time and get on it, because it really is a game changer.
Mary, we thank you so much. Mary has shared and just talked so much about the goodness of Clean One Room for the past 3 years, because yes, even though she's moved homes and it has, I think she said now, a larger kitchen, her kitchen is still to this day, we're listening over 3 years from Clean One Room when she started it, has remained clean using the Clean One Room system and that reset I teach you. So if you want to learn how to stop cleaning your house all the time, learn how to clean one room at a time and set it on a reset routine, you can go to cleanoneroom.com, or just wherever you're listening, scroll down. We'll have it linked in the show notes for you, bestday.co. Clean One Room is found under our online programs. Thank you so much, Mary, for that fantastic review and share, and for continual, like she comes back every year and it's like, it's still working. And so we just love that so much for you. Thank you so much, Mary. We appreciate you so much. Go and get Clean One Room right now at bestday.co. Again, wherever you're listening, just scroll down. We have it linked for you right there in the show notes. Number 4 is I reduced the clutter and organized their bedrooms to invite in rest. So I moved the books from their room, or the library books from their room. They both all still have bookshelves in their rooms that has their books that they own. But I wanted the rooms to just really, the focus of your room is to be rest. The bed is the main feature and always was in their rooms. But these little toys and knickknacks, I got rid of them, with the exception of things that I know they actually use and enjoy, which is not much. I wanted their rooms to invite and rest, because our schedule goes like this. After dinner, which is usually about 6 o'clock, we're upstairs, and after 7, there is no, like, pretend like downstairs doesn't exist. So you have time to be in your room to enjoy your books, the vibe you want to set in there. That's up to you. You can turn on your lamp, turn off your light, which is usually what they opt for. And it's the time to start winding down. And so I went through and cleaned both of their rooms, massively decluttered them. Not that there was a ton in my son's room, my daughter, different story. But it's just the love of paper and all things. And so now all of that activity that she would want to do in her room with crafting, that's all downstairs. And that's just giving every type of activity in our home a space. And the space for our rooms is rest. They do not have televisions in their room, and will not have televisions in their room as long as they reside in our home. But because we want their rooms to be a place where when you go in there, it is time for rest. So that's the 4th thing I did. I just really did a very deep dive of their rooms, which both of them loved. And were like, they want to keep their rooms clean, right? Because you can see everything. There's nothing on the floor. I removed everything, really, with the exception of their bookcase, of course, clothing, their stuffy, their those little stuffed things that, children love, and their beds. And that really is the bulk of it. And number 5, going to a different room of the house, I rearranged the pantry and the cabinets so that their lunchtime items were easily accessible to my youngest son. So I brought them down so they can make their own lunches and snacks. And I completed this before the summer ended, because I wanted them to get used to that when they were making their lunches for camp. And so in our cabinets, all of the lunch stuff had always been on one counter or one shelf, but it was so high that my son couldn't reach it. And so it just made sense to bring it down lower to the bottom shelf, and a bigger shelf too, so that it wasn't spreading over multiple shelves. And the same in the pantry. Their snacks is now just at a lower level so they can grab what they need, put it in their lunches, and make their own lunches and snacks, which likely most of you may have already been doing. But those are the 5 things that I did this summer to prepare our home. And I can tell you on the receiving side of that, it is working really smoothly and beautifully. And I hope that encourages you, even if your home doesn't have children or school-age children, just to start to think again, how do I need my home to serve me in the season that I'm currently in? That's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for being present with me for this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. Remember, the best way to support the podcast is by leaving a review, sharing it with a friend, and letting me know what are your favorite parts. I don't know you're listening unless you tell me you're listening. You can always email us at hello@besttoday.co or leave us a voicemail at besttoday.co/voice. And remember, I'm going to highly, highly encourage you to subscribe to For Those on the Journey. You can do that right here. If you scroll down, you'll see it linked, but it's also forthoseonthejourney.com. That's where you can hear more from me. And I will be doing much more writing there weekly, starting really soon. So that's the place for you to be. Go on and subscribe now. Just trust me on that one. I'm trying not to give too much away, but subscribe. And you can do that by going to forthoseonthejourney.com or just link right here where you're listening, and it'll let you know that that's click here to subscribe to For Those on the Journey. All right. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode. I'll talk to you in the next episode. This podcast is provided for you every week by Best Today, where we are on a mission to help you to live and work well. We do this by creating resources that bring intention to how you plan, schedule, work, and live. You can get started in one of 3 easy ways. First, by taking our product quiz at besttoday.co/quiz. 2, joining us in our online community, the Best Today community, at besttoday.co/community. Or 3, connect with us through email at besttoday.co/email, all of which are linked below in the show notes. To learn more about our company and what we do, visit besttoday.co and join thousands of customers around the world pursuing a life of intention, one today at a time.